Hi, welcome to another edition of Fly Tying with the Montana Angling Company. Me again. Today we're going to be tying a Chubby Chernobyl, and we'll be using a Hanak 230 BL in a size 8. If they made it in a longer shank hook, I would use it, but they don't, so here we go. And we'll be using uni thread tan 6/0. Tie it in, leaving some space at the front. So this is just a big, high-floating, attractor-style dry fly. We use it a lot on all the freestone rivers out here. Pretty much a standard pattern in sort of the midsummer repertoire. Could be a stonefly, could be a grasshopper, could be a lot of different stuff. And it all starts with just tying in some Krystal flash as our tail. And this one will be sort of golden stonefly themed. And a lot of these rivers out here, especially the freestone, sort of yellow becomes just a go-to color. Shares, yellow is a common color with a lot of our bugs, golden stones, little yellow sallies, PMDs. So that'll be the theme we're kind of going with today, and one that I use fairly frequently out here on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, we'll just tie in our Krystal flash to about right there, and eventually that'll just become a little tail that sticks out, and we'll wrap our thread all the way forward. And to start with this fly, what I like to do is just bring our thread all the way up until we leave just a little room behind the eye. And then we'll start actually putting down a light layer of dubbing. We'll be using Ice Dub UV Yellow. Good looking stuff, very buggy. Sort of golden stone theme. And just start by dubbing on just a little. I mean, this is just a base, to kind of get us started. And so you'll see with the final product, we end up using quite a bit of this. It's a nice synthetic dubbing that ends up floating pretty well. Yeah, it's probably good to start with, and we'll just sort of wrap it forward there, just getting down a nice sort of base layer of dubbing that we can then work with for the rest of the pattern. Alright, and we'll kind of stop once we're just a little bit past the tail there, and we'll actually now tie in our foam. And so to do that, we'll sort of measure it out. It's just a nice square piece about the gape of the hook there. And I'm actually going to add just a little more dubbing. And a lot of times I'll just tie it in with dubbing on it for this particular fly. I mean, it's so, such a big piece of foam. A lot of times you'll cut into it if you don't. And then, yeah, I'll just bring kind of one wrap there to get it started. And then we'll start with our wing and rubber legs. We'll do the wing first, and it's just going to be with white McFlylon. Cut off a little piece of it, kind of try and undo it if you can ahead of time, and just tie it in basically right on top of the foam. Sort of one wrap, and then bring it right back down for a second wrap. So just lock it in place, and then we'll put on our first set of rubber legs. So I'm going to turn this over, and you just kind of want to tuck it into the foam right there. You can sort of straighten out all the rubber legs later, and they're not terribly important as long as they're there. And then we'll put the one closer to me on. Yeah, and then just kind of tie it all down with some tighter wraps now to really cinch them on there. And then we'll take a little more dubbing and just sort of coat it all one time in dubbing. And kind of space out those rubber legs a little too. And the great thing about this bug is there is a lot of material on it. It's not a subtle deal. You get some bigger fish to take a swipe at it, but too, you can float a dropper obviously really, really well under this bug. And so pretty commonly used in sort of a chubby rubby rig with a Pat's rubber legs floating underneath, which will be in another fly tying video coming up here pretty quick. Yeah, and so we just kind of pull everything back and work our thread up. Dubbing on some more, pretty much now like almost all the way to the front there, where we'll tie in our last bit. Maybe just a little extra there, just because I didn't quite get it as far up as I wanted. There we go. And then we'll tie in our foam again, and basically just repeat what we just did at the front, or at the back rather, now at the front. Give it a couple loose wraps there to just get that foam down. And we'll tie in another big wing. And I mean, this fly, it's basically like a just floating indicator that you're going to get some big fish to eat. Kind of just fold that back just like we did last time. Tie in one piece, loose, and then bring the other bit back and just kind of, you just sort of do whatever you have to do to get that other piece to sit back. A lot of times I'll just pinch it a little and wrap it. Cool. Then we'll get in another pair of rubber legs. Then a little more dubbing, and we're just about done. It's another quick, easy tie, real durable bug. Not a whole lot to it, but it works really, really well. So let's see there. Just want to make sure that leg isn't on top of the body. There we go. Definitely want the legs, I mean, underneath or just off the side, so they provide that nice base of support for everything. Now I'll hit it with a little more dubbing. Bring it all the way to the front. And this is another one of those bugs. I mean, it's like a Chernobyl ant or anything else. There's a million different variations and color schemes on it. More of a style of tying once again than a true one pattern and one pattern only, like a, I don't know, like Parachute Adams or something. I'll put a little more dubbing and kind of tuck it in right at the front and then just sort of whip finish it all off. And what we'll be left with is a really high floating, super durable bug. Oop, got a little carried away there maybe. It's probably good how it was. Yeah, so I'm just going to coat this whole thing in super glue. Coating that thread, and with the super glue, I mean, a little goes a long way. Pull everything back and try not to get the rubber legs all caught. And just give it a little whip finish. And I got a little carried away at the front of this one, so that eyelet's a little covered, but it's alright. And then just a little snip. We're done, and now we'll just kind of trim the wings, and I like to just bring them all four sort of separate parts to the back. Just give them a nice little snip. Then we'll trim our foam. So it's sitting right at the head. That tail's probably good, and I like to just give the head a little more detail. Just a little thinner. And then we'll cut the tail at the back. So it's hanging out, and then we'll trim all these legs up. And what I like to do is just kind of grab all of them at the same time, if you can, underneath the fly, and just kind of cut them to your liking, leaving them on that sort of longer end of the spectrum. And yeah, make sure they're not too wild, and there we are. Pretty good right there. Chubby Chernobyl. Looking sweet. Thanks for watching.